Well, there have been 13 mass shootings in the US in this week alone. The shooting in Ohio was the 251st attack this year, according to a US-based group that monitors gun violence, which defines a mass shooting as an incident where 4 or more people are shot or killed. 270 people have been killed in such attacks this year. Despite those figures, this year, 2019, is on track to have fewer attacks than last year. Last year, 368 people were killed in gun violence. All right, well, let's talk to Scott Lucas now. He's Professor of American Studies at the University of Birmingham. He's joining us via Skype from England. Thanks very much, Scott. These extraordinarily grim statistics in the United States. On a daily basis, we're being regaled with these awful atrocities. Why are Americans apparently so resistant to gun law changes or restrictions on the ownership of guns?
Well, first of all, unfortunately, these aren't extraordinarily grim statistics. The United States has had this surge in gun-related mass killings for decades, but it is getting worse and worse, as you noted. But the second correction, I think, is the important one here, and that is a lot of Americans are not ignorant of this. They are not resistant to this. They want something to be done. We saw in mass marches after the mass killing at the high school in Parkland, Florida last year, the March for Our Lives, that there are demands for actions to be taken to restrict gun ownership, to have a decent system of regulation in place. We have seen further marches, and I suspect we will, especially as we're going into, let's be honest, a 2020 election season. In other words, while some Americans may cling on to their guns, there are a lot more who are saying it's too long, far too long, that citizens have been treated as collateral damage for the National Rifle Association and the politicians who receive money from them. Let's see if that begins to finally have an effect and reduce the hundreds, thousands of incidents that we are seeing.
And referring in particular to the El Paso incident, where a 21-year-old white man has been arrested, is suspected of this being motivated by hate. Bernie Sanders has talked about a growing culture of bigotry and says that all Americans should be rejecting this. Would you agree with him?
Oh, absolutely. But I think we need to go farther, and I think we need to be very honest about this. And that is that the suspect, Patrick Cruzius, in the El Paso shooting, used rhetoric, a 4-page manifesto, which said that he was carrying out this act because of the invasion of America by immigrants. He said, in words that echo those of Donald Trump used recently, that those immigrants should go back to their countries. I think we need to be honest and say that the man in the White House and other politicians, when they carry out anti-migrant language, when they use language which can appear to target those who are of a different color, a different religion, they don't put the guns in the shooter's hands, but they provide the excuses for those guns to be used. So it's not enough just to simply condemn bigotry. There needs to be responsible action by all politicians. And if they're not responsible,
right,
they need to be called out as accomplices.
Now, there has been a debate, hasn't there, within the past week or so, as to whether or not Donald Trump is himself racist. I would argue that perhaps he is, given the language that he uses. And what I would like to know from you is whether the vast majority of the United States Americans are racist as well.
Look, I come from Alabama. And for decades in my area of the country, as you probably know, we've had issues with race. We've had issues with discrimination. And those issues are across America, and they continue today. We never achieve civil rights fully. We always have to march towards it. But what is different now is that while there may be a lot of questions that are always below the surface regarding race, the President of the United States has brought them out into the open. And when he tells American congresswomen, go back to your country when they were born in America, when he calls migrants animals, when he says that African-American communities are rat-infested, that is a divisiveness. That's what we face. This is the most critical time in American politics since 1945, and these mass killings are only part of the challenge that we face, including against a man named Donald Trump.
Scott Lucas, thank you very much indeed for talking to us live from Birmingham in England.
Thank you.